Emerges empire. On a clear, quiet night, the stars shone like tiny beacons in the vast sky. In a small town far from the city lights, people looked up and wondered at the beauty above. But tonight, something was different. A large, glowing object appeared above the horizon. It was not a shooting star or a plane. It was a mysterious vessel, moving slowly and steadily toward the earth. In the town of Eldridge, people gathered in the streets and on rooftops. Among them was Captain Liam Hart, a calm and brave leader of the local rescue team. He had seen many strange things in his long career, but nothing like this. As he looked up, his heart pounded with both fear and curiosity. The vessel was huge, with a shape unlike any human-made craft. Its surface shimmered with colors that changed from deep blue to bright green, reflecting the starlight. The news of the strange object spread quickly. In the early hours of the morning, military vehicles rolled into Eldridge. Soldiers, scientists, and government officials set up a command center in the town square. Captain Hart was asked to help organize the people and keep them safe. Everyone felt uncertain about what the mysterious craft might bring. As the sun began to rise, the glowing vessel hovered silently over the town. No sound came from it, only a low, constant hum that made the ground vibrate. Captain Hart and his team approached the area with caution. They could see a part of the craft opening slowly, as if inviting them in. A bright beam of light shot from the opening, touching the ground gently near the edge of the town. Residents watched from a safe distance as strange figures began to emerge. They were tall, with smooth skin that shimmered in the light. Their eyes were large and curious, scanning the unfamiliar surroundings with a mix of wonder and determination. These beings, who called themselves the Emerges, had come from a distant empire that spanned many stars. Their arrival was not an act of war, but a step toward a great mission that had been planned for many years. Captain Hart observed the scene closely. He noted that the Emerges moved with a quiet grace, their actions precise and deliberate. Their leader, a tall being with gentle eyes and an air of authority, stepped forward and spoke in a language that was at first unknown to the people. Yet, in a few moments, his words changed into simple English. "We come in peace," he said, his voice calm and clear. "We are the Emerges Empire, and we have much to share with you." The people listened in silence as the leader explained that his people had traveled across the galaxy to learn from Earth and to help protect it. They had seen the struggles of humanity, the small battles fought in the name of freedom, and the unyielding spirit of the human race. He spoke of a great challenge that lay ahead, a challenge that would need both the wisdom of the Emerges and the courage of the humans. Captain Hart felt a mix of relief and wonder. The arrival of the Emerges Empire was not an act of aggression, but a call for unity. The leader spoke about the need to learn from each other. The Emerges had many secrets and knowledge that could help humanity grow and fight for its future. In return, they asked for a chance to understand the human spirit, to witness the strength that came from years of struggle and survival. In the hours that followed, the small town of Eldridge transformed into a center of communication and learning. The military set up a secure area near the landing site, while scientists from different parts of the country arrived to study the vessel and its occupants. The local residents, though initially scared, became curious and began to see hope in this unexpected encounter. Every person in Eldridge felt that history was being made before their eyes. Children clung to their parents, listening to whispered explanations of what was happening. Elderly citizens, who had seen many changes in their long lives, stood in silent awe. The arrival of the Emerges Empire promised that the old ways might change, that new alliances could bring strength and wisdom to a world that was often divided. Captain Hart walked among the people, reassuring them with his steady voice. He reminded everyone that courage was not the absence of fear, but the will to move forward despite it. As the day went on, more Emerges appeared, interacting with the humans in calm and respectful ways. They used simple gestures and words to explain their history and purpose, making sure that every human understood that they meant no harm. By the end of the day, the world felt a little smaller, and the future a bit brighter. The arrival of the Immerse Empire had opened a new chapter in human history, one filled with promise, challenges, and the potential for great change. As the sun set on Eldridge, Captain Hart looked up at the sky, where the mysterious vessel still hovered, a silent guardian promising that the night's events were only the beginning of an extraordinary journey. The shocking revelation. Inside the vast alien vessel, a hidden world unfolded, a world of secrets and memories that would change everything the people of Earth thought they knew. After the initial meeting with the Immerse, a small team of brave human scientists and soldiers was chosen to enter the ship. Led by Dr. Maya Reed, a curious and kind-hearted scientist, the team stepped into a long, dim corridor filled with strange symbols and soft, pulsating lights. As they moved deeper into the vessel, the walls began to change. Instead of the smooth, metallic surfaces they had first seen, the corridors now revealed panels filled with holographic images. These images flickered and danced in the air, showing scenes from long ago. Dr. Reed's eyes widened as she recognized familiar places and people in the images, human battles, forgotten heroes, and moments of great sacrifice. It was clear that these were not just pictures. They were records of Earth's past, carefully stored by the Immerse. The team reached a large chamber that served as the heart of the archive. The room was circular, and in its center stood a glowing pedestal. Around it, streams of light flowed like rivers, each carrying bits of data and memories. On the pedestal, a large, ancient book-like device floated, its pages turning on their own. The device was covered in symbols that blended alien art with images of Earth. Every page revealed a new story, a new piece of history that had been hidden from the human race. Dr. Reed approached the device slowly, feeling a mix of excitement and unease. She placed her hand on its smooth surface, and suddenly, the device responded. The holograms around the room shifted, and a clear message began to form in simple English. Long ago, when the stars were young, our people met yours in battle and in friendship. We have watched your struggles, your victories, and your losses. Your history is not random, but part of a great struggle that spans the cosmos. The room fell silent as the team absorbed the message. The device continued to display images, visions of epic battles fought on Earth, of ancient warriors standing against overwhelming odds, and of peaceful moments where humanity came together to rebuild. It showed that many of the conflicts on Earth had been influenced by forces from beyond the planet. The Immerse, it appeared, had been both witnesses and, at times, silent guides through these moments. As the holographic images played out, Captain Liam Hart, who had joined the team as a military advisor, studied the details carefully. He saw that many of the battles depicted were not only fought for survival, but also for something deeper, a desire for freedom and hope. The archive revealed that even in the darkest moments, humanity had always found a way to rise again. The device explained that the secret history held a message of strength and unity, urging people to remember that they were never alone in their struggles. The revelation was shocking. The team learned that many events in human history were part of a larger cosmic plan. The archive suggested that ancient conflicts on Earth were influenced by an alliance between human heroes and the Immerse, a time when the two species had worked together to fend off a common enemy. This enemy was not a person or a nation, but a dark force that threatened all life in the universe. The Immerse had once tried to help humanity, but a misunderstanding and a great betrayal had separated the two worlds. Dr. Reed carefully examined a section of the archive that showed a moment of great loss. The hologram displayed a powerful scene of a human leader and an Immerse envoy standing side by side on a battlefield, their expressions filled with determination and sorrow. The message on the device explained that this was the moment when trust had been broken, a mistake that led to centuries of conflict and pain. Yet the device also hinted that this long-forgotten bond could be restored if both sides were willing to learn from the past. The more the team learned, the more they realized that the archive was not simply a record of battles and losses, but also a guide for the future. It carried the hope that humanity could find strength in unity, both within their own ranks and with the emerges. The message was clear. Understanding the true history of the Earth was the first step towards healing old wounds and preparing for future challenges. Captain Hart and Dr. Reed exchanged looks of quiet determination. They knew that the knowledge stored in this secret archive could change how the world saw itself. It was a reminder that every battle fought, every sacrifice made, had been part of a larger story, a story that was not yet finished. The archive was a call to remember the past, not as a series of isolated events, but as a connected journey that had shaped the destiny of both humanity and its cosmic neighbors. With the revelation complete, the device slowly dimmed its lights, as if waiting for the right moment to shine again. The team left the chamber with heavy hearts and hopeful minds. They understood that they had uncovered something powerful, an ancient truth that could unite the people of Earth in the face of future challenges. The knowledge that their struggles were shared by beings from beyond the stars filled them with a new sense of purpose. As they returned to the surface, the human team knew that the discovery would soon spark many questions among the people. Yet they also believed that this new understanding of history would encourage unity and strength. The shocking revelation inside the alien vessel was not just about past battles. It was a promise of a better future, built on the lessons of courage, sacrifice, and the unyielding spirit of humanity. The unyielding spirit. As the news of the secret archive spread beyond the walls of the alien vessel, it reached every corner of the small town and soon the whole nation. People listened to the reports on their radios and televisions. They heard how the emerges had recorded Earth's hidden past and the great battles fought by brave men and women. Amid the shock and confusion, something else began to happen. Hope began to grow in the hearts of ordinary people. In the town square of Eldridge, a group of community leaders gathered. Among them was Sarah Collins, a humble schoolteacher known for her warm smile and caring nature. Alongside her stood Captain Liam Hart, who had already proven his bravery during the arrival of the alien craft. Together, they understood that the revelation from the archive was more than a record of old battles. It was a reminder of the strength that lay within every human being. Sarah began to speak softly, yet her words carried a deep meaning. "We have always fought through hard times," she said. "This is our history. Our past shows that even in the face of great danger, we have never lost our spirit. It is time to come together and use that spirit to build a better future." Her message resonated with the crowd. People felt that despite the many hardships they had faced, the courage of their ancestors flowed through them. Captain Hart took over next. Standing tall and confident, he spoke of the unity that had been shown by both humans and the emerges in the archive. "Our strength is not only in our arms or our weapons," he explained. "It is in our hearts and in the way we stand together. We are a people who rise again and again, no matter how many times we are pushed down." His words gave courage to many who had felt lost or afraid. Across the country, similar meetings were held. In small villages and large cities alike, leaders emerged. They encouraged communities to share their own stories of bravery. Farmers talked about working side by side during difficult harvests. Shopkeepers recalled how neighbors had helped each other during floods or storms. These everyday acts of kindness and courage formed the foundation of what was now being called the unyielding spirit of humanity. In a quiet town near the coast, a local firefighter named James Rivera organized a community drill. He invited everyone to practice how to work together in emergencies. "If we practice unity," James told the gathered crowd, "we will be ready to face any danger, whether it is from our past or from what may come in the future." The people trained, shared ideas, and planned for a united future. Their determination was clear, and it spread like a warm fire in the cold night. News channels and newspapers began to report on the human spirit that was emerging. They showed images of ordinary people doing extraordinary things. A group of teenagers helping an elderly neighbor fix his roof, a family turning their home into a safe shelter, and communities coming together to rebuild a broken bridge. These stories, simple yet powerful, captured the hearts of viewers. The message was clear. Humanity had always been strong because of its unity. In the aftermath of the Archive's revelation, the military and government saw the need to support this growing movement. They organized town hall meetings where citizens could voice their ideas and concerns. Scientists, like Dr. Maya Reed, joined local leaders to explain the importance of learning from the past. They stressed that the battles recorded in the archive were not meant to bring fear, but to remind everyone of the strength found in unity and courage. A turning point came during a community festival in Eldridge. The festival was organized not only to celebrate the town's heritage, but also to honor the unyielding human spirit that was now more visible than ever. Music, dance, and art filled the streets. People shared their dreams and hopes for a future where differences would be set aside, and every individual's courage would be valued. The Immerses had shown them that even the darkest secrets of the past could be transformed into a promise for a better tomorrow. At the festival, Captain Hart and Sarah Collins spoke to a large crowd gathered in the town center. They reminded everyone that the revelation was a call to remember that every act of bravery, no matter how small, had shaped the course of history. "Our strength is not just in our weapons or in our military might," said Sarah. "It is in the kindness we show, in the way we stand together during hard times, and in our shared determination to never give up." Her simple words were met with cheers and applause. The unyielding spirit of humanity began to shine brightly as more people embraced their role in this renewed journey. Communities learned that each person had a part to play, from the quietest voice to the bravest action. And as night fell over Eldridge, the stars above seemed to twinkle with the promise of new beginnings. The human spirit, tested and true, was ready to face any challenge that might come, united by the lessons of the past and the hope for a brighter future. In that moment, the people of Earth understood that their journey was just beginning. With hearts full of courage and minds open to learning, they stepped forward into the unknown, ready to stand together against any force that threatened their existence and to honor the legacy of those who had fought before them. The battle begins. As days passed after the shocking revelation, the calm in Eldridge and nearby towns slowly gave way to tension. People had begun to argue about what the Immerses truly meant. Some saw them as friends with knowledge to share, while others felt a deep fear of the unknown. In this charged atmosphere, conflict was inevitable. The first sign of trouble came on a cool, gray morning. A small group of citizens, driven by fear and distrust, gathered near the military base set up around the alien vessel. They shouted that the Immerses might hide more dangers than answers. Their voices grew louder, and soon a protest formed. Soldiers tried to calm the crowd, urging everyone to listen to the government and the scientists who had come to help. But anger and suspicion ran deep. Captain Liam Hart stood at the front of the base, watching the gathering from a safe distance. He remembered the messages of unity and hope that had been shared only days before. Now he saw that not everyone was ready to trust the new path that had been laid out. Hart knew that if the anger turned to violence, there could be real harm done. He decided to send a small group of soldiers and community leaders, including Sarah Collins and Dr. Maya Reed, to speak with the crowd. They approached the protesters slowly, using calm voices and open hands. Sarah tried to explain. "We have learned much from the Immerses. Their knowledge shows us that our past battles, though hard, have made us strong. We must not let fear break our unity." Her words, however, did not reach everyone. Some faces remained grim and unyielding. A few of the protesters began to push back, and soon the conversation turned into a physical struggle. In another part of town, a similar scene was unfolding. A group of young men, who had always trusted in the power of human strength, took up arms in secret. They believed that the arrival of the Immerses was a sign of weakness, a call to surrender to something not of this earth. This group, calling themselves the Guardians, organized quickly. They planned to defend human freedom by any means necessary, even if it meant fighting against the peaceful visitors. By the time night fell, Sparks of conflict could be seen on many fronts. In the streets of Eldridge, small skirmishes erupted between the protesters and the security forces. The atmosphere was heavy with fear, anger, and a sense of betrayal. While some people still gathered around to watch the alien vessel and listen for messages from the Immerses, others hid behind locked doors, worried about what might come next. Captain Hart was torn. He knew that violence was not the answer, yet he could not ignore the rising unrest. With a heavy heart, he gathered his top officers and community leaders for an urgent meeting. They decided that a clear line must be drawn. Those who wanted to learn and share the truth from the Immerses would be protected, and those who chose to oppose this message through violence would face strict measures to keep the peace. At the same time, Dr. Maya Reed and her team worked hard inside the alien vessel to find more clues that might help explain the full history of the Immerses and their connection to Earth. They hoped that by sharing more of the archive's secrets, they could win over the doubtful hearts of the people. Yet every new piece of information seemed to deepen the mystery, and soon, even more questions arose about the true intentions of the visitors. In a tense standoff on the outskirts of Eldridge, the Guardians confronted a unit of soldiers. The Guardians shouted that they would not let anyone stand in the way of human freedom. Their voices echoed over the empty fields, and the soldiers, trained in restraint but aware of the potential danger, held their ground. It was a moment of uncertainty, where every person felt the weight of history on their shoulders. Meanwhile, a group of Immerses observed the unfolding conflict from a distance. Their leader, with kind yet sorrowful eyes, spoke to his companions in soft tones. He lamented that a misunderstanding between worlds had led to this moment of strife. The Immerses had come with the hope of bridging two cultures, but now it seemed that old fears were overpowering the chance for a peaceful alliance. Back in Eldridge, Sarah Collins and Captain Hart took to the town's central square to address the gathered citizens. Under a makeshift stage, they spoke with urgency. "We stand at a crossroads," Sarah said, her voice steady. "Our history shows that we are fighters, not because we wage wars against one another, but because we rise after every fall. Let us not allow fear to turn us against each other. Instead, let us use this moment to learn and grow stronger together." The word hung in the air, met with a mix of cheers and uncertain murmurs. As the night deepened, the battle lines became clearer. There were those who believed that the key to the future was to stand united with the Immerses, to learn from the past, and to prepare for new challenges together. And then there were those who saw any change as a threat to the way of life that had defined human struggle for generations. In the dark hours before dawn, clashes grew sporadic and dangerous. Security forces did their best to quell the riots, using non-lethal means to control the situation. Yet the underlying tension was undeniable. Each side felt they were fighting for the very soul of humanity. One side for knowledge and unity, the other for independence and tradition. Captain Hart, standing on a hill overlooking Eldridge, felt a mix of sadness and determination. He knew that this battle was not just a fight between opposing groups, but a test of what it meant to be human. It was a moment where every choice, every act of courage, would shape the future. The battle that began on these troubled nights was not one fought with only weapons, but with words, ideas, and the relentless spirit of those who refused to back down. The first skirmishes of the battle had started, setting the stage for a struggle that would challenge the old ways and test the hope of a new beginning. In this uncertain time, the people of Earth were forced to confront their deepest fears and to decide whether to embrace the unknown or to cling to what they already knew. The conflict was only just beginning, and its outcome would determine the path forward, a path that could lead to either unity and strength or division and despair. Secrets and sacrifices. Inside the alien vessel, a small team led by Dr. Maya Reed prepared for their most dangerous mission yet. The goal was clear: to uncover the deeper secrets hidden within the ship that might explain the long and troubled history between Earth and the Immerses. With Captain Hart and a few trusted soldiers watching from the outside, the team of scientists and volunteers stepped carefully into a new, dimly lit corridor. Their hearts pounded with both fear and determination. The corridor was narrow, with walls that glowed softly with an eerie light. Strange symbols and writings covered every surface, and the air felt heavy with memories of the past. As the team moved forward, Dr. Reed explained that these symbols were part of an ancient language, a record of both triumph and loss from many ages ago. The silence of the corridor was broken only by the steady hum of the ship's systems and the soft, cautious footsteps of the team. After walking for what felt like hours, they reached a sealed door marked with symbols similar to those on the walls. Dr. Reed carefully activated a panel on the door. With a low, grinding sound, the door began to open slowly. Beyond it lay a large chamber, far different from the corridors they had just passed through. The room was filled with light that pulsed gently, as if it were alive. In the center of the chamber stood an array of holographic devices, each projecting scenes of battles and moments of deep sorrow and hope. The holograms showed vivid images of past events, human warriors fighting alongside members of the Immerses, moments of unity before a terrible betrayal, and a final, crushing event that had split the two peoples apart. One hologram in particular caught everyone's attention. It showed a grand meeting between a respected human leader and the Immerse's own chief, a meeting that ended in chaos and loss. Their faces, once filled with hope, now bore deep lines of regret and pain. The images were so real that the team felt as if they were witnessing the past firsthand. As Dr. Reed studied the holograms, she noticed a smaller detail in one scene. Hidden in the background, almost as if it were a mistake, was a symbol that matched one on a pendant worn by a human soldier in an old photograph. Captain Hart recognized it instantly. He recalled that his great-grandfather had worn a similar pendant during a long-forgotten war. This discovery was more than a coincidence. It hinted at a secret connection between some humans and the Immerses, one that had been lost over time and hidden within these records. The team realized that this secret could hold the key to mending the broken bond between the two species. However, the chamber had one more challenge. As they continued to explore, the floor beneath them began to tremble, and alarms sounded softly in the background. The ship seemed to sense their presence and reacted to the intrusion. The team hurried to secure the records they had found, knowing that every second counted. In the chaos that followed, one of the team members, a brave young scientist named Alex, stepped forward to help stabilize the room's systems. He worked quickly, his hands moving with urgency over the control panels. But as he reached out to calm the surging energy in the chamber, a sudden surge of power knocked him off his feet. He hit the ground hard, and for a moment, everything went silent. When Dr. Reed rushed to his side, she found that Alex was badly injured, his face pale, and his breathing shallow. Captain Hart, who had been monitoring the situation from a secure location, rushed inside along with a medic. The team had to make a quick decision. They could not leave Alex behind, as his knowledge and bravery were needed to unlock the remaining secrets. With careful effort, they lifted him and carried him to a safe spot in the chamber. Every member of the team felt the weight of the sacrifice they were forced to make. One injury might lead to a permanent loss of talent and hope. After the crisis had calmed, Dr. Reed and Captain Hart gathered the team to review the secrets they had uncovered. They found that the archive not only told of battles and betrayals, but also carried a warning. The holograms revealed that there was an enemy, hidden in the dark corners of the universe, that had once sought to destroy both Earth and the Immerses. This enemy was the true cause of the ancient conflict. The betrayal, the battles, and the division between humans and Immerses were all set in motion by this dark force. The revelation shook the team to its core. It was clear that the sacrifices made in the past had not been in vain. The hidden enemy still lurked, and its return could mean the downfall of both worlds. The secrets stored within the ship were a plea for unity, a call for humans and Immerses to set aside old wounds and come together to face a threat greater than their differences. Captain Hart looked at the wounded Alex, the determined face of Dr. Reed, and every member of his team. He knew that their journey was far from over. The painful truths they had uncovered demanded a response, a willingness to make sacrifices, both personal and collective, to mend the broken bond and to stand against the lurking enemy. It was a difficult path ahead, filled with risks and uncertainty, but it was also a path that offered hope for a united future. As the team prepared to leave the chamber with the knowledge they had gathered, they carried with them not only the heavy burden of the past, but also a renewed determination. The secrets of the archive were a reminder that sometimes great sacrifices are needed to pave the way for a better tomorrow. In that moment, they all silently vowed to honor the memory of those who had fallen, and to fight with every ounce of strength for the future of both humanity and the Immerses. The turning point. Tensions reached their peak as both humans and the Immerses stood at the edge of a final confrontation. In the heart of a quiet valley, under a sky full of swirling clouds, a large gathering formed. On one side, human fighters, soldiers, citizens, and the secretive guardians stood ready, their faces a mix of determination and fear. On the other side, the Immerses had gathered in a calm formation, led by their dignified leader, whose eyes held both sorrow and hope. The valley was silent for a moment, as if the world itself was holding its breath. Captain Leonhardt, who had become the voice of reason among the humans, stepped forward to speak. His voice carried across the valley as he addressed both sides. "We have seen too much loss, too many divisions," he said. "Today is a turning point. We stand here not as enemies, but as two peoples who share a deep, painful history. We must find a way to end this conflict." His words were met with murmurs from the crowd. Among the Immerses, their leader, whom they called Arian, nodded slowly. Arian had watched the events with a heavy heart, understanding that a final standoff would only lead to more suffering. He raised his hand, and his soft, clear voice filled the air, speaking in simple English. "We have both suffered. Our past is filled with pain, but it can also teach us how to heal. Let us remember the sacrifices made, and let them guide us to a future of unity." The words echoed in the valley, and for a moment, time seemed to pause. In that silence, each person recalled the secrets and sacrifices of the past, stories of bravery, loss, and hope. Dr. Maya Reed, standing among the human scientists, thought back to the hidden archive and the deep truth it had revealed about an enemy that threatened both worlds. She knew that if humans and the Immerses did not unite now, that dark force could rise again to cause more harm. In a quiet corner of the valley, a small group of guardians who had long resisted the presence of the Immerses looked at each other with uncertainty. Their leader, a young man named Marcus, had always believed that fighting was the only way to protect human freedom. But today, as he listened to the words of Captain Hart and Arian, he felt his heart soften. The messages of unity and shared pain resonated with him, and he began to question if his long-held beliefs were leading to more harm than good. As discussions started among smaller groups, a dialogue began to form between representatives of the two sides. In one circle, a human elder who had fought in many old battles spoke softly to an Immerse envoy. "I have seen many wars in my life," she said. "I have lost friends and family. But I also know that when we come together, we can build a peace that lasts. Our pain is not our end." The Immerse envoy, with kind, deep-set eyes, replied, "Our people have watched from afar, hoping for a time when the wounds of the past would heal. We came not to destroy, but to share our wisdom. We want to help you face the future, not to take away your spirit." The simple exchange of words gave hope to those who listened, showing that the turning point had begun. Captain Hart and Arian then stepped forward together, side by side. Their presence was a powerful symbol of unity. They proposed a plan to create a joint council of human and Immerse leaders. This council would work together to mend old wounds, share knowledge, and prepare for any threat that might arise from the dark force hinted at in the archive. Their plan was simple and honest: listen to each other, learn from each other, and build a future where both peoples could stand strong together. The turning point was not reached without struggle. Some among the human ranks were still filled with anger and fear, and the secretive guardians were hesitant to lay down arms. In a tense moment, Marcus stepped forward again, his voice shaking as he admitted, "I have always believed that strength comes from fighting. But today, I see that our strength also lies in our willingness to change. I want to fight, not against the Immerses, but against the darkness that seeks to harm us all." His admission sparked a change of heart among many of his comrades, and slowly the resistance began to fade into cautious cooperation. As the sun broke through the dark clouds overhead, light spread over the valley, symbolizing the new hope that had emerged. The Joint Council was formed, and members from both sides gathered around a large stone table placed in the center of the valley. They spoke of past sacrifices, shared their visions for the future, and agreed on steps to bring their peoples together. Plans were made to share technology, to set up schools where both human and Immerse histories were taught, and to organize joint patrols in the regions where the dark enemy might one day return. That day marked a turning point in the story of humanity and the Immerse. The turning point was not about winning a battle by force, but about winning the battle for the future, through understanding, trust, and shared sacrifice. As both sides began to work together, the valley transformed from a battleground into a meeting place of hope. In the warm glow of the rising sun, humans and Immerses stood together, ready to face the unknown as one united force. A new dawn. In the weeks that followed the turning point, a change swept over both humans and the Immerses. The Joint Council, created by Captain Hart and Arian, began to work on plans to build a safer and more united future. In towns like Eldridge, people slowly let go of old fears and embraced the promise of a new beginning. Meetings were held, ideas were shared, and every person felt that history was being rewritten with hope. At the heart of this change was the growing understanding that both sides had much to learn from one another. Dr. Meyer Reed organized classes where scientists and students studied the ancient records from the alien vessel. These lessons showed how the battles of the past were not meant to divide, but to prepare both humans and Immerses for greater challenges. The stories of sacrifice and unity that filled the archive now became lessons in courage and trust. In local communities, new symbols of peace began to appear. Flags, murals, and monuments were created by local artists. Simple designs that combined human and Immerse elements. These symbols served as daily reminders that the old ways of fighting had given way to a shared promise of working together. People talked about the past with respect for those who had suffered, and they looked forward with excitement to what could be achieved in unity. Captain Hart walked through Eldridge, greeting both young and old. His steady presence brought comfort, and his words were simple yet powerful. "We have a long road ahead," he said one afternoon as he addressed a small crowd in the town square. "But our strength lies not in our past fights, but in our willingness to learn and grow together. Today, we start a new chapter." His message was clear. A new dawn had arrived for all. Arian, the leader of the Immerses, worked closely with human leaders to build trust. He spent time with local families, listening to their hopes and fears. His calm voice and kind smile made it easier for many to accept the idea that their future was now shared. In joint ceremonies, human and Immerse leaders exchanged small tokens, a gesture that symbolized mutual respect and a common purpose. The Joint Council set up many practical steps to build this new future. They planned to create exchange programs so that humans could learn about the technology and culture of the Immerses, while Immerses learned about Earth's rich history and resilient spirit. Together, they organized community patrols to protect the regions from the dark force that had once threatened them. Their combined efforts made the people feel safe, knowing that they were stronger together. As the days turned into months, the scars of past battles began to fade. New projects sprang up all across the land. Schools, community centers, and research labs where human and Immerse ideas mixed freely. In every corner, the unyielding spirit of humanity was joined by the wisdom of the Immerses to build a future that was fairer and more hopeful. The unity that had once been only a small spark now grew into a bright flame that warmed every heart. In the final scene of this new dawn, the sun rose over a peaceful landscape, a symbol of rebirth and endless possibilities. The alien vessel, once a harbinger of mystery and fear, now hovered silently in the sky as a reminder of a time when both sides began their journey toward healing. Humans and Immerse, side by side, looked to the horizon, each person filled with a new sense of purpose. Their shared journey had taught them that while the past was full of struggle, it was also a foundation upon which they could build a future of unity and peace. This new dawn was not without challenges, but it was a beginning of hope. In the unity of purpose and the blending of two cultures, there lay a promise that together they could face any threat, overcome any fear, and shine brighter than the darkness of history. The future was open and full of promise, a future built by those who dared to believe in a united, enduring peace.